It's time for Lefties Losing It, and we've avoided them all week, but alas, I can no longer ignore the weapon-grade lunacy of The View. The ladies have had another bad week. Well, there are no good weeks on The View, just differing levels of misery and madness. Let's hear from Joy Behar, who thinks Donald Trump is trying to destroy the country or he is trying to enrich his mates.
He's trying to destroy the country. Now, why is he doing that? Just as a person in the audience, like watching this.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of theories.
Yes, and
what's... First of all, if he tanks the entire, what do you call it?
Economy,
the stock market, then all his billionaire friends can swoop in and buy everything low. That's not an original idea. That's Hakeem Jeffries said that.
Genius analysis there, Joy. You really are a rare intellect. I mean, the people who lost the most money when the stock market dived were the elite, the richest. But let's hear more of this cunning examination.
Today on Truth Social, Trump wrote, "A great time to buy."
Yes, he did. And you were free to follow that sage advice, Joy. Plenty of folks did. Plenty of folks didn't panic and held on to their investments. And yes, the markets had a bumper day. The S&P 500 soared 9.5%, its biggest gain since 2008, while the Dow Jones Industrial Average jumped up 7.9%. How does that go with your analysis of Trump wanting to destroy America? Or this next bit of lunatic supposition?
People are starting to get mad.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
You want them to get mad.
But how mad will people get, and how broke will people get, and how many jobs will be lost? And then he can say, well, there's too much chaos, and now we're going to have martial law in this country, and he becomes a dictator. I mean, I don't know. That may be out of the bounds.
Anything is possible.
But it's possible.
Yeah.
So just as somebody watching the news, that's what I see.
You know, if you've got good friends around you, they are honest with you when you go off the rails. They don't feed your paranoid delusions. It's clear that Whoopi Goldberg is not a good friend to Joy because she encouraged that latest bout of crazy. She believes Donald Trump wants to crash the market so people go nuts and then he can institute martial law. Okay, I'll tell you who else has had a rough week. It's the worst vice presidential candidate in history, Tim Walz, aka Tampon Walz, Tampon Tim, a name he earned for putting tampons in boys' restrooms in schools across his state. Well, here he is in the Minnesota capital being booed by veterans, and for good reason, because Tampon Tim's other nickname is Stolen Valor Walz.
Welcome to the Capitol. It's great that sir, you're welcome to come. Let me finish. Let me finish. Hey, there's some passion in the bill.
Did you hear the shouts of coward there? Let's hear from Tim in front of a far friendlier crowd here. He claims that we should celebrate success, but then he says we should demonize Elon Musk.
I think Democrats supporting families, supporting the working class, supporting unions, but I think we have to separate and have a message here. It's okay in America to be successful. What we should demonize is people like Elon Musk and those people that do that, and that's different.
Yep, try to make sense of that. You know what? Tampon Tim is going to be extra depressed today because Tesla shares are soaring. Despite the unhinged violent attacks we've seen, attacks that Democrats refuse to condemn, here is Chuck Schumer.
What's your opinion of the violence against Tesla, their products? What are your thoughts on that? Do you denounce the violence against Tesla products and dealerships and cars in the streets?
I can't talk about Tesla, but Elon Musk is a disaster for America, and America knows it. Look at Wisconsin.
What? Now, proving that misery loves company, let's check in with the hideous propagandist, George Conway. Remember when he was feeling joyful and gleeful? He was emboldened, defaming Donald Trump, believing that these sham trials were going to make Donald Trump unelectable?
He's a deeply disturbed, a deeply morally bereft human being who has no conscience, has no morality, has no empathy, has no remorse, and is sadistic.
Ah, those were the days for George, but those heady, delusional days are well and truly over. Watch this 30-second compilation of George crying like a little girl. You're welcome.
I'm going to get moist-eyed here, because or whatever it is that these people seem to be. And I went so far, actually, yesterday to Arnold and Porter. That also was very moving, because something people want, and I wanted, and us. We're all in this together, rule of law. And some people just don't give a and that makes me angry. Granddaughters of Judge Rifkin.
And to another miserable aging dolt, here is techno dude Moby, who seems to think billionaire Donald Trump is really, really bad at business. He also seems to think that Trump supporters have regrets. Who's going to break it to him?
So, for the people who voted for Trump or have supported Trump, can you finally just admit you were wrong? Trump has spent his entire life bankrupting businesses, and now, surprise, surprise, he's bankrupting the United States. So look, we can move on, but if you supported Trump or voted for him, just please, finally, now, just admit you were wrong.
Now let's end with more weapon-grade crazy from a host view. Sunny Hostin shows she can be just as irrational and race-obsessed away from the View desk as she is on it. Here she argues that many blacks and women will not be able to participate in the democratic process if we have voter ID laws.
Don't have cars, don't have driver's licenses. So it's sort of a vestige of, I think, post-slavery laws where black people had to prove their right to vote, and oftentimes they couldn't vote because they couldn't pass some crazy test or they didn't have the appropriate ID. It also affects women that are married. Maybe your passport reflects something that's different on your birth certificate or on your driver's license. So really the bottom line is voter suppression. And I agree with him 100%. It's a brilliant notion that less voter ID laws allows more people to vote.
Only problem, Sunny, is that we don't want more people who are not eligible to vote. And how bigoted of you to suggest that black folk and women don't have IDs. That's what they mean by the bigotry of low expectations.